Thank you for coming. I'm Suzette Ferguson. I'm the Director of Business Development here for Melrose. And really excited to have all you here. You probably recognize my name on the end of your email. Tonight, we're going to run through an amazing panel discussion with some Melrose employees and some guests and some customers. I'm going to introduce you to Bobby Lee in a second here. Let me just do a call out to Sandy and Sean Nassari, our founders of the company. Sean is in the back corner over here. Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Thanks for the amazing rooftop. This is fantastic. I want to extend an introduction to Bobby Lee. Bobby is our Vice President of Engineering and has worked at the company for numerous years, more than 10 years. I don't even have the number, should have asked you. But he's phenomenal and been a huge part of actually creating the private media cloud. And so let me, with a warm welcome, introduce you to Bobby Lee.
Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce Zeke Margolis, our Vice President of Cloud Solutions at Melrose Inc. Zeke has joined Melrose.
Thank you, Bobby.
Joined Melrose in 2019 and played a pivotal role in launching the Melrose Private Media Cloud, or PMC. Zeke is known for his ability to simplify complex technologies and translate them into relevant business strategies. Zeke has guided companies through every disruptive technology wave for more than 2 decades, from the digital transition to distributed media workflows, and a current focus on leading the development of MelrosePMC, our hybrid cloud solution. He enjoys playing and sharing his extensive vinyl record collection, which is awesome. And you can follow him at LinkedIn at Zeke Margolis.
Thanks, Bobby. So first of all, I'd like to give a sincere thank you to our sponsors for the evening that are helping us make this happen for everybody. Avid Technology, Cumulo, Signient, and Telestream. Thank you all. And thank you everybody for coming over here to Melrose, 6 p.m. on a Tuesday night. I know that's not always the easiest drive, but we appreciate you making the effort. Despite our modern age, we still believe that person to person is the most effective way to communicate information. And so we're glad you're here to be with us tonight. I'd like to take a moment to intro our panelists for the evening, and then I'll spend a minute introducing Melrose PMC. So first we have Brian Hendricks on the far left. Brian is a self-described general purpose nerd. His drive for innovation makes him a key player in exploring and implementing new solutions for private media clouds. Brian has a passion for cutting edge production and storage technologies, from Arista Networks to Weka.io. Always on the hunt for the latest advancements, he's a certification enthusiast with a deep expertise in high performance computing. He's also a fellow vinyl DJ with a passion for drum and bass. Thanks for being here, Brian.
Thanks for having me.
To his right, Greg Cohan is Senior Vice President of Post-Production for Prometheus Entertainment. Greg's an experienced post-production executive with a proven track record in the entertainment industry. He brings deep expertise in operations management and has comprehensive knowledge of every facet of post-production for broadcast television. His keen understanding of the evolving media landscape and commitment to optimizing workflows makes him a valuable voice on the private media cloud panel. Greg's work includes shows you may have heard of like Ancient Aliens and The Curse of Oak Island. And in his spare time, Greg enjoys fishing of all kinds with his son. Thanks for being here, Greg.
Happy to be here.
And to my immediate left is Avi Gonshore. Avi is a seasoned media technology expert with over 16 years of experience in media and entertainment industry. Having started in field operations at EVS Broadcast, he advanced his career as a solutions architect at both Verizon and Edgio. Now a client partner at Signient, Avi excels in transforming complex tech requirements into practical, scalable solutions for media clients. In his spare time, Avi enjoys basketball and is also an avid pickleball player. Welcome, Avi.
Thank you.
So I'd like to kick things off by explaining to everybody, what is Melrose PMC? Well, PMC is an acronym for Private Media Cloud, and it's actually something that we've chosen very intentionally, that naming. So the first thing to emphasize is that it's private. So that means we're not using any public cloud service providers for anything that we do. Having been in the tech industry for a long time, the joke has always been that cloud storage is just your data on somebody else's servers. But the difference at PMC is those servers are either yours or ours, and they're under our control. So we know where your data is and where it isn't at all times. It's also a media cloud, so unlike general purpose cloud technology, our cloud is specifically optimized for media workflows and built by subject media experts with a collective experience of over 100 years. But it is still a cloud. So just like any other cloud, you get the advantages of leveraging internet technology to do distributed workflow and enabling workflows for anyone, anywhere. I'd like to start off the panel tonight with a question for Brian. Can you give the audience a little bit of the background story for how PMC came about?
Yeah, sure. So I think thanks for having me again, Zeke. So the genesis of the PMC probably started around the end of 2019, beginning of 2020 with the pandemic. Melrose as a company, and Melrose Tech in particular, was instrumental in setting up remote workflows for our customers and just kind of MacGyvering any possible way to do remote work while we were all in lockdown.
Any port in the storm, right?
Yep, anything possible. And we were exploring literally every option that we possibly could. And after about a year or so of that, we had figured out some really good ways to do things, some really not so good ways to do things, and kind of every option in between. And around that time, Sean and Sandy gave us the directive to start researching what it would take for us to offer our own private media cloud to our customers to be able for them to leverage and utilize.
Yeah, they had figured out that people were kind of liking remote work and might not want to go back to the old way of doing things when COVID was over, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of started with the research from what we had learned, developing remote workflows for our customers and seeing what worked and what didn't. We got a data center space down in El Segundo, and I started kind of in my spare time when I wasn't helping customers try to figure out how to do remote workflows. Started just building out this infrastructure kind of on my own down there and slowly iterating it to a point to where we were comfortable offering it to our customers as a product and a service.
And Brian, how long were we testing in that R&D phase before we launched?
I'd say it was almost a year and a half. It was
Wow.
almost a year and a half, yeah.
That's a long time to do R&D.
It was. It was a lot of learning, a lot of mistakes made, and a lot of lessons learned, but I think in the end, we got something that's really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. So, Greg, you've actually been at PMC since the start. Can you tell the audience a little bit about what led you to start working with Melrose PMC and when that was?
Oh, it was quite a journey. Right around the same time, I think that I was looking at cloud servers, the standard. I was terrified by the idea of an unknown cost. Egress, how much is it going to cost to store, how much is it going to cost to take down, what if there's an emergency. And my bosses came to me and said, well, what would it take to have our own cloud? How can we build our own cloud? So I went to Zeke and I said, how can I build my own cloud? And he put all the information together for me and he gave me a bunch of numbers and I said, it turns out we can build our own cloud, and I have no interest in doing this because it's way too much money. Not too long after that, we had an event that I would say we all say is impossible. I started to have drives on my RAID fail one after the other, my main servers. And you say, well, you're never gonna have two RAIDs at the same time fail. Well, I did, and then I had 3, and then I had 4.
Never say never, right?
Yeah. And we had to find out really fast, like how can I duplicate or sync my media and put it somewhere that I can have instant access to? So should there be a critical failure, what can I do to get that media back and not have to wait? It's 500 terabytes. How am I gonna get 500 terabytes back in time to work with my clients? And that's when Zeke brought me Private Media Cloud.
Yeah, so our first phase 1 was installing half a petabyte of Prometheus storage into PMC so that it could sync with the local data in your office in Hollywood.
Every frame of footage I put on my system is also in the cloud. And if my system shuts down, in an instant I can click over and be working in the cloud.
Fortunately, we've never had to do that. And then you guys moved a little bit after that, right? Because none of the editors wanted to come back to the office, so you didn't need quite as big of an office anymore.
We had a 20,000 square foot building here on Sunset and Vine, and we downsized to 8,000 square feet, and I have 70 editors working in the cloud now, and we moved up to Sherman Oaks, which is great because it's really close to my house. When I moved there, it turned out we were able to get a direct connection straight to the PMC. So now I have a 10 gig fiber drop straight from my building to the PMC, and the disaster recovery that we run is instantaneous now. It's like working inside my own building.
And just to jump in for a minute, you also helped architect, Brian, their outside internet access for all the remote employees through PMC as well, right?
Yeah, so actually all of their bandwidth comes from the PMC over a 10 gig dark fiber line that goes to their office. But that not only gives them 10 gigs of bandwidth to their office, but it gives them 10 gigs of bandwidth back to our private media cloud environment where their nearline storage is. So it gives them super fast access to that, as well as nice fast internet bandwidth for the rest of their workflows.
And one important thing just to mention about that, most of your infrastructure is still in your new office, right?
Yes, it's all in my new office. I have an office filled with servers and no people.
So the private media cloud extends to your office as well.
Yeah.
And then once we had that bandwidth in place, talk a little bit about how we got you involved with Signiant.
One of the other challenges, we're a post company and a production company, and two of our main productions, Oak Island and the Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, they're filmed on location. And
hey, Greg, just to interrupt for a second, where are those locations?
Well, Oak Island is on a remote island off of Nova Scotia, and Skinwalker Ranch is in the middle of the desert in Utah.
And Oak Island has really good bandwidth, don't they?
Yeah. Well, actually, Oak Island has, the fastest bandwidth that you can get in Canada is 500 megabit. And that's a T1 line, and that's what we have going right to the island. So.
And just to put it into perspective for everybody, how much media are you moving from a remote island in Nova Scotia every day?
About 4.5 to 5 terabytes a day within 24-hour period.
That's a little bit of media.
Well, not just that, but in Skinwalker, we do another 2.5 terabytes. So we're doing 8 to 9 terabytes daily in a 24-hour period.
Yeah, when we started testing, that was kind of our benchmarks. Every 6 hours, we had to move a terabyte of content, and that was kind of the benchmark and the stopwatch to figure out if we would be successful or not.
Yeah, and Avi, that's a great segue. When we started testing out, working with Signiant and Prometheus, how easy would you say it was to integrate your solution at PMC based on your experience working with other partners?
It was pretty seamless. The onboarding was simple, right? You have the knowledge base here, and workflows that could take days to get implemented were done in hours, right? I remember one time we were doing testing and we said, you told us you needed to be up by 1 p.m. and it was 10 o'clock and we were able to do it.
Here was my fear. So we had a service that we were using to sync at one point through the PMC, and it worked fine. It was great, but it took time to set up, and there was downtime, and there was development time, and there was new season time, and every time I would start a new season, I would need a week to kind of get rolling. And when they started pitching me Signiant Jet, which is the specific product we're using to sync our footage back to our office, I was dubious because I'm like, I don't really want to go through all the setup again, but I really didn't. It just was done, and they turned it on, and they tested it, and it worked, and we rolled.
Brian, can you speak to that a little bit about the server that we sent out to test remotely?
Yeah, sure. I mean, because we have the PMC and we have infrastructure already built out, it made it really easy to just provision like a small endpoint that we mailed off to Nova Scotia.
And when you say endpoint, what specifically does that look like?
I think the one that we sent was like a Mac Mini with like 10 gig networking on the back, and it had all of the Signiant bits pre-installed, bound to the portals that we had made, and we shipped it out. They plugged it into the network, they turned it on, they plugged in a camera card, and the data just started syncing across, the world. It was pretty straightforward.
Just like magic.
I had to ask my tech guy, I was like, is it working? He said, yeah, everything's just syncing. Is it going fast? And he's like, yeah, it's going way faster than it was.
So, Greg, maybe you can shed a little light for the audience on what life used to look like before PMC. I mean, you're moving a lot of media these days, but how did you get that footage back from Nova Scotia and remote deserts before you had this solution?
Going way back, we would shoot on tape. And at the end of every day, someone had to break tape and at 5 o'clock run to some FedEx place or an airport or whatever and get it sent overnight, and it was not efficient at all. And then,
How much would you think overnighting tapes every day while you're on set racked you up?
I mean, it can be easy, $500 a night, $600 a night.
Did that change much when you went to hard drives?
No, it didn't change at all. It's the same price. Yeah. And the downside of when you're shooting internationally is if you're trying to ship something, you also have customs, and it's very easy for stuff to get in customs, and there is no getting it back when it's stuck there until they decide they're going to send it back to you. So
that doesn't help you make production deadlines, does it?
No, it doesn't. So we really needed an alternative solution. When we got into the digital age, and you really can't do things like FTP, and you can't send FX9 cameras through WeTransfer. It just is not a reasonable solution, and you need something accelerated, which is kind of...
And we had found you a accelerated software solution before, but it had some limitations.
Yeah, I mean, the complication was downtime and setup. A weird limitation that I had is I really need, we shoot with a lot of different formats like GoPro, which doesn't have inherent sync timecode on it. And I create that timecode by looking at the read-write time on the card and backtracking timecode into that. And when I would sync with the other product, it would alter the modified date, which means that my timecode would never match. With Jet, I don't have that problem. It moves over the time and time of day as it was.
And you also had to do an annual subscription, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, that was a yearly subscription. What you're getting at is now I have the flexibility. One of the really nice things that Jet offers me, and Signia in general is different with PMC. Going through the PMC is that I can now turn my product on and off. So I have Oak Island, which shoots 6 months out of the year. I have Skinwalker, which shoots 5 months out of the year. I'm not buying a year subscription for everything that I do. I'm turning it on when I need it, and I'm turning it off when I don't. So my cost is greatly lower.
A custom fit workflow solution.
Yeah.
One of the other things I think is important to mention and emphasize for everyone is that even though we have this beautiful multi-million-dollar tech lab downstairs, that's actually not where the PMC is based. PMC is based in a data center. And unlike a lot of companies that are offering solutions that have basically taken their offices and turned them into clouds, we've actually made the decision to host our private media cloud in a data center. So Brian, can you enlighten us a little bit about what some of the benefits are of doing it that way and being in a data center as opposed to just being in an office like our beautiful one here in Hollywood?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest advantages obviously are stable power, bandwidth, and environmentals.
There's this term they throw around in the data centers, 5 nines. Can you explain what that means?
Guaranteed uptime, 99.99999% of the time.
That's a lot of uptime.
It's a lot of uptime, and it's guaranteed, which is great. Which, unlike our tech lab, which is great, it's awesome, I'm glad we have it, we use it all the time, but the power in Hollywood isn't always super reliable. We have air conditionings that are built for offices, not for industrial data centers with high availability. And the data centers come with all that built-in protection.
That sounds pretty impressive, but can you put that into the context of why that might be beneficial for clients?
Yeah, so I think the best example is one of the first clients we had at the PMC was a small post house. They were working out of a very expensive office in Santa Monica that nobody was going into because of the pandemic. So they had a bunch of storage and some switches and a bunch of workstations that people were using their kind of office internet to remote to. And they took all of that stuff and they hosted it all at the PMC. So that was a kind of a bring your own gear kind of model, and we were providing the bandwidth.
So that's an important thing to mention, that you can bring your own gear and host it at PMC, or you can utilize the technology that we have there on demand.
Exactly.
Kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yes, and you can mix and match. You can bring your own gear, you can use all virtual services, we can merge them together. But these guys, a week after we moved all their gear to the PMC, we got an email from the owner of the company. He said, hey, all my editors absolutely love the experience that they're getting because they have a much better remote workflow now. They're not getting dropped frames, they're not getting disconnects. He's like, one of the things that I like best is that I don't have to worry about the power over by the Santa Monica Promenade going out and me having to rush into the office, try to shut things down, restart things. I don't have to worry about the little budget air conditioner I shoved into the back of my server room going down when it's hot out, overheating my equipment. It's like I don't have to worry about any of that stuff anymore because it's all taken care of at your location.
Greg, how would you say your experiences with downtime have been since you started working with PMC?
At PMC, I don't think I've had any downtime.
And did you ever have any when you were in Hollywood?
Well, I was just going to say...
The power related?
Yeah, one way that I can help contextualize that, and all of my editors, even though they're remote, work out of my building. So I have, if I have 100 Avid systems, I have 100 computers in my office that everybody's remoting into. And I don't know if any of you work in Hollywood, but about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a lightning strike, and it hit the power cable, and it put our building out and this whole block out for at least a week and a half. That means my editor is going to work for a week and a half. And
how many editors do you have?
At that time, it was well on 70.
70 editors not working for a week and a half because a lightning strike hit the building.
My boss came to me and said, well, how do we fix this? I said, I can't make electricity come back. And he said, well, get a generator and run it up to the 18th floor of this building. I said, I can. It's going to be $250,000. If I was at the PMC, they have the generator, they have the redundancy, and it wouldn't have gone out.
That's that 5 nines thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Avi, how would you describe the relationship between Signient and MelrosePMC? How has that partnership been?
I think it's going quite well. I mean, my job is to provide you the tools to be able to help your customers be successful. And, I know that when we were working with Greg in Oak Island, we were talking about, ancillary products. So we do use Jet, but using products like Media Engine that allow him to view the content in the storage from his location.
One thing we hadn't talked about earlier is I use Jet to transfer all the media to and from the field, but we also use Media Shuttle. And I don't only just have editors working remote, I have researchers and APs and producers, and we do a lot of documentary clip style shows. And they have to go out into the world and find all these clips that we put in the show. Well, they use Media Shuttle now to upload the clip right to our server instead of FTP or trying to VPN in. And I don't know if you ever dumped a 4 gig video file on VPN, but it doesn't work so great.
Hey, Avi, maybe for the benefit of the audience out here, you could give us a quick 60-second overview of the products we keep name dropping.
We offer Media Shuttle, which is the ability to create portals and locations to be able to drop content.
And a portal is basically just a customized web page, right?
Customized web page, so send, share, submit portals. We offer Jet, which is our point-to-point connections. That's what we're doing with the workflow with Oak Island. And then we have Media Engine, which is preview thumbnails that you're able to access your content, see all that, be able to download the content directly from a UI console or subclip or send utilizing Shuttle to any destination you want to be at.
I want to interject just really quickly because I know this is an important point. When we're syncing the material over and we're not sending stuff through FedEx or we're not waiting for something in customs, and we're getting, we have 27 cameras shooting 12 hours a day. We're getting that in-house the next morning, and it's through the efficiencies and automation through other products that we're dealing with Melrose with that. We're looking at that, we're grouping that within 24 hours of shooting, which if you're in production is important because I can now look at the material, I can find where the deficiencies are, I can see when there's a technical issue, I can see when the audio didn't record or the video had a blue channel error, and I can see that within 24 hours. And I have the ability to go back to my crew and say, I need to pick this up while they're still there shooting.
Can you put into sort of broad numbers how resources are being saved by working with Signient and PMC now, as opposed to the way you were doing it before that?
Like a cost?
No, just like a percentage. Like how much time are you saving or how much money are you saving?
A little bit hard to quantify, but at the end of the day, it's time and efficiency. And time and efficiency save me money, so I don't have people worrying about the fine details of things, which means that they can focus on the things that I really need them to focus on, which is the creative or the process.
Basically, you're getting a better result.
Oh, absolutely.
And spending less money.
Most importantly, you're not as stressed.
And
Yes, sure.
And all of your technology is still in your building.
Yeah, I have technology. I have servers in my building and I have servers in his building, which it might be different than other clients, but servers in my building mimic the servers in his building. And it's happening near real time because of the sync.
It's truly a hybrid workflow.
It's definitely hybrid.
Brian, I know we've been bouncing around a lot of different sort of technical topics here. Could you sort of give us a short recap on the key features of PMC?
Yeah, the nerd stuff, the stuff that I like talking about. So, like I said, one of the nice things about when Sean and Sandy gave us the directive to start researching and implementing the PMC was that we were going to do it the right way, right? We weren't just going to bolt a bunch of random generic storage somewhere with some janky switches and say like, hey, we've got a private media cloud. Like, we designed it from the beginning the way that we recommend to our customers that they build things. So we started with, 100 gig Arista redundant core with redundant Arista client switches that cascaded down from that. We went into the data center knowing that we were going to have a pair of high availability firewalls. And then from there, we looked at, what are the storage solutions that we're going to want to run in our PMC for our clients? Obviously, Avid being one for editorial, people that are using Media Composer. And then for everybody who wasn't, we looked to Cumulo because they are our favorite scale-out NAS platform. The ease of deployment, the stability, the support that we get from them was just amazing. So that is really the foundation of what started the PMC. And then outside of that, we created a big VMware stack that runs all our utility service, stuff like Active Directory or LeoStream, our Teradici gateways, but also gives us a big, robust virtual environment where we can run stuff like Telestream Vantage and also set up new workflows and new technologies for our customers really fast because it's virtual, right? We just spin up some VMs, we can do some testing. If it's like a Signet Gen endpoint, all we have to do is spin it up, deploy it, give access to our customers for them to test. They test it, they say, hey, this works great, and we just turn it on. That's it.
But you can still get Max too if you want, right?
Absolutely. So that's the brilliant thing about having a hosted hybrid model is that we can do completely virtual infrastructure that's all hosted on our virtual servers. We can do physical infrastructures. I mean, we're Melrose Inc., Melrose Mac is right next door. So we have racks and racks of Mac Minis that we can spin up if somebody needs editorial with Macs, and lots of editors prefer Macs. So it's trivial for us to say, hey, you need 5 Mac Studios, 3 Mac Minis for story stations, and you need a couple hundred terabytes of storage. We can spin that up in a matter of minutes and get people access to it so they can test, validate that it's going to work for their workflows, and then just put them to work.
If you were to take a wild guess at how much all that tech that we've put into PMC cost, what would you say?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just the nerd. You're the sales guy. Probably millions of dollars, I'm sure. It's a pretty expensive
probably
stack.
6 figures, not 7, but it's
maybe
it's investments that we've made so our customers like Greg don't have to.
Absolutely.
But you can still get the benefits of them.
Absolutely.
And it's flexible, it's scalable, and it's pretty affordable.
I will say the millions of dollars probably because we do have millions of dollars of stuff down in our lab, and the lab was kind of the genesis of what the PMC was. Because we had the lab and because we're able to test stuff here on site, it helped us with the development and the iteration of the PMC.
Yeah, and that's a good segue into development and testing because we're working on some new possible workflows for you guys at Prometheus, right, Greg?
Sure.
And I think one of the benefits that we have is that we have this lab here in Hollywood, and we have the PMC, so we have the ability to sort of test out things and make sure they work for clients first before we try to go deploy them in the cloud.
Yeah, I mean, to that end, the PMC is not like a monolith, right? It's not a static environment that we built and it's always going to be that way. It's always evolving. We're always changing things. We're always finding better and new ways to do things, more efficient ways for our customers, finding the bleeding edge technologies that are going to enable new workflows and new productivity. Anything from new AI workflows and machine learning stuff to new storage technologies and new networks.
Yeah, and that's a great one. I'm going to go off script just a little bit and put you on the spot, Greg. You've dabbled a little bit with AI-enabled workflows at Prometheus, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure everybody's curious, like, how have your experiences been in terms of using the robots as opposed to the humans to get repetitive tasks done in television production?
I wouldn't want to be a transcriber out there right now. There's a lot of people that work for me that are terrified of AI, and it's because they think they're going to lose their job. But I think what they're not seeing is the big picture, and that people still need to run it. There still needs to be a creative behind it. There still needs to be inputs and direction towards it. We use it a lot for transcriptions. We're just starting to dabble in generative imagery. As we're doing it, the networks are starting to really kind of put out their requirements in terms of what they're going to expect.
And what sort of accuracy are you seeing as far as those generative results in transcription?
For transcriptions, I would say, we're in the 95 percentile. Casual conversation, I think, is really, really, really accurate. But, we do, one of the shows we do, Ancient Aliens, we look at it like old ancient sites like Teotihuacan. Well, AI doesn't pick up Teotihuacan. They don't quite understand what it is. I know that we're starting to talk with other avenues that might give us a way to model that, to input those words so that the machine would learn, and then I wouldn't have
training the models.
Yeah, wouldn't have those inconsistencies. Imagery, image generation it's a different beast right now. It's not real consistent. It's not real accurate, but you can spit out 1,000 images in a half hour.
So you get 90 to 95% accuracy, and what would you say the percentage of cost that you're spending versus how you used to do it in a traditional method before you started using AI?
I can't give you all my secrecy. I pay 1/10 the cost on transcripts now that I did before.
So 90% accuracy for 90% less is what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Avi, what about Signient? You have anything on the roadmap for incorporation of AI or AI optimization into your tool sets?
Well, we're really focused more on, content ingest and content distribution. We recently announced our Media Factory product, so trying to deliver content to OTT. So we play well in the sandbox. We know what we're good at and we know what we focus on. So encryption, file acceleration, content delivery is kind of our focus, and ensuring that reliability is always maintained.
And reliability of data transfers is important.
Extremely.
Brian, what might people in the audience see in the near future out of Melrose PMC?
I think, like I said before, just the enablement of new and kind of cutting edge workflows, stuff like AI and machine learning. I know that we're installing a bunch of new stuff down there on Thursday. Anything that's the latest and greatest, and anything that will let our customers work more efficiently and do the work that they need to do.
Excellent. Yeah, so we're putting that lab downstairs to work other than just showing off the blinky lights when we have events like this. Yeah? I think that concludes the scripted portion of our program. I wanted to take an opportunity to open it up for Q&A. If anybody in the audience has any questions for me or for any of the panelists up here.
Hey Zeke, where is PMC located, or are there multiple?
So currently, our current data center is at Equinix LA3, which is down in El Segundo, just a little bit south of the LAX airport.
And what size capacity co-location space do you guys offer?
So presently we're in a couple of cages there. So we have about 20 racks, and we have reservations on adjacent cages, so we have room to grow. We've had a few conversations with some of our larger clients about doing a wholesale forklift, and we've also had a couple of conversations with new people doing bigger shows for the streamers that are looking at sort of birthing their infrastructure in the data center from day one. And so we have the flexibility to light something like that up if we need to. We've gotten people close, but no one's taken that full plunge yet, but we expect that's coming sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Zeke. You guys are way ahead of the clock on this one. And
thank you. Well, that's what Wayne Gretzky always said, right? You skate to where the puck is going, not to where it is.
Yeah, I wanted to know about, with content security and physical security as well. Can you guys talk about what you guys are doing about, security at the PMC?
I actually can. That's a great question.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, because that is something that we wanted to mention and forgot. So thanks for that prompt.
Yeah, so luckily we have somebody who works here who has been a TPN certified auditor at one point in his life, and he helped us design the entire network infrastructure stack at the PMC to pass network content security audits. We've had multiple clients that have been audited, both TPN and just directly by one of the studios, and they've all passed with flying colors.
And that's just to jump in there, Brian, that's actually another good thing that we ought to mention, that some of those people that we've required to do those TPN audits for, how big were they?
Well, it's been all the way from a single person production shop who was getting, one season of a show at a major studio. She got the job, and the studio told her, you're going to have to buy, storage. So you're going to have to go buy an Avid Nexus. You're going to have to buy a firewall. You're going to have to buy cameras for your house. You're going to have to do all this stuff to be able to actually get the content to work on it. And she called us up and said, there's no way I want to spend all this money to do this. What can you do? And we're like, well, we can give you a virtual workstation. We can give you some Avid Nexus storage, and we can help you go through the audit process. And we went through the audit process and got them all set up, and relatively straightforward. She passed with flying colors. She did her season of work, and then she shut all her stuff down. We've also had, an entire documentary film crew who did all of their work at the PMC remotely. So really,
and a lot of those people weren't local, were they, Brian?
No, I actually have three-quarters of their editors were New York.
So you don't have to be a big company, but we can support big companies too.
Absolutely, yeah. Kind of, we built it from the ground up to be able to support everybody from the very small to the very big.
I'm going to ask it, but you can interpret it, either what you think the future holds for cloud in 2025, or, Greg, from the client perspective, what you'd like to see out of cloud workflow in 25. So why don't we start with you, Avi, and then we'll just kind of roll down the line here.
Well, with Signient, we try to offer that flexibility, right? So whether you're in the cloud or on-prem, it really doesn't make a difference to us. We just want to make sure that your content is moved efficiently and effectively. But I mean, you're seeing cloud solutions occurring, and it makes sense. But it's a tough question, but I think it's...
So everything for everyone all the time is the Signient motto. I think that's kind of the Melrose approach too.
Where each work, right? Where you need an on-prem solution, and there's other ones where you require a cloud.
So basically requirements first, technology second.
Yes.
I agree. What about you, Greg? What would you like to see from cloud workflow in the coming year?
Faster, more consistent, more, I'm fairly happy with where I'm at right now. So, integration with the new technologies. And one of the things that I'm happiest with right now is that I can, there's the availability of instant on, and that I might need that one day. I might need to go to Zeke and say, hey, I got to start 10 more editors tomorrow and I don't have the systems. Can we turn it on? That availability is very appealing to me. But if I need to update, I have 7 petabytes of storage in my facility. If I need to update that, well, there's a lot of costs associated with that. I would hope that with the PMC, I have that's happening around me, and that if I have the need to update and upgrade, that I can go right into the PMC and get that.
What do you think?
3 things: on demand, scalability, and AI. Those are the things that are the future, I think.
Way he said.
I think the future looks pretty bright. Well, I think that concludes our panel program. I hope you guys have enjoyed learning a little bit about what PMC is and why it is and what's potentially in it for you. The one thing I would say in passing is that, we've always tried to have a focus at Melrose on designing solutions to address customer needs. And, the only constant in life is change. And so there's an awful lot of disruptive change happening in our industry these days. So really, this is just an additional set of tools in our toolkit. We've always enjoyed getting on whiteboards and carving out solutions. And part of why we have all of these vendor relationships that we do is because these are all companies who also believe in, innovation and listening to clients and helping move technology forward. So, we have a lot of our Melrose Tech team here tonight and a lot of subject matter expertise up here on the roof. So if you have any, thoughts or questions or ideas tonight or in the future, we'd welcome the opportunity to talk to you and, sort of architect what future workflows might look like. But we really appreciate you coming. Thank you again to our sponsors, Avid, Cumulo, Signiant, and Telestream.
Thank you very much, Zeke.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.